I'm very excited today to introduce my friend and colleague in activism, Roxanne. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi.
So Roxanne is a lawyer and a former judge, and she lives in Santa Clara County, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story today because it's very germane to Senate Bill 357, which is a California state bill that is up to repeal the loitering with intent to commit prostitution law. And that law is known as 65322. But I'm excited to have Roxanne specifically today to talk to us about it. It involves her personally. She's had some personal experience, being arrested for walking while trans. And that's why we want this bill repealed, because it just profiles people based on how they look. If they're in certain areas, then the police just go and arbitrarily arrest them.
So what happened to me, so a little background. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for more years than I want to admit. And I was a judge for 12 years in California. And I own 2 houses down in downtown San Jose. And so the problem was, I was actually coming back from lobbying for my community up in San Francisco all day. And so, when I got outed as being trans, I lost my career. And so I've been fighting for my community ever since. And so I spent the whole day up in San Francisco lobbying for my community, saying, we are people, we are human beings. And I came back home, and so I'm a little out of shape, and I was going to have to go through surgery. And so I had been walking every night, like an hour every night, trying to get ready for being knocked out for several hours in surgery. And so I was doing that, and I would walk around the neighborhood, pick up recyclables and clean up my neighborhood. And it's not uncommon that I would get stopped by San Jose police and sort of, in my view, harassed. But usually they would just, jerk me around for 15 minutes, half hour, 5 minutes, and then let me go. And so this night I was walking, I was done. I was ready to go home and go to sleep. And so I'm going to keep this brief because we have a lawsuit against the city of San Jose and the county of Santa Clara. And, I think they should just admit that they don't want to go arrest trans women for walking while trans. So I'm glad Maxine said that, because that's how we look at it. It's walking while trans.
Well, let me share just a little bit about what your federal complaint says. This says this happened in 2019, right? You and a friend were in San Francisco, and you were taking public transit back to San Jose. And you guys, you all had to walk, right?
Yep.
You had to walk because public transit involves walking.
Well, the buses stop at a certain time. So it's like you got to catch the last BART train, to catch the last bus, to catch the last VTA bus. And you'll miss the last VTA bus.
Right. So you have to walk.
So
you're 2 ladies walking down the street.
Well, actually, we walked, we got to my house, and then I went on my exercise. And so that was what happened. She didn't come back. She went out to get cigarettes and never came back. And so, I was walking, I was concerned, looking for her, and I couldn't find her. But, I was going home. And so I was actually in the block of my own house. And this guy almost sort of ran over me, pulling out from a funeral home. And I was like, that was weird. And then he backed up, and then I kept walking. And so, like I said, I was picking up recycling. So I had a 32-ounce beer bottle in my hand to defend myself. I was walking back to my house, but this guy then went and raced down the street and parked in front of my own house. And then it's like, hold it. This guy's a weirdo, and I don't want him to know where I live. And so I, went to my house. I discreetly dropped off the bottle, and I went up to and hid behind a post at the church that's not next door, but next door. And the guy wouldn't leave. So it's like I couldn't get back into my house without this weirdo there. And so then when he wouldn't leave, I said, well, maybe he can still see me. And so I walked down to Fernando's house, which is my neighbor on the other side. Neighbor, not direct neighbor, but next house down after my neighbor. And I stayed there. And he still wouldn't leave. And it's like, I want to go to bed and go to sleep. And so then I tried to trick him by acting like I was going to walk to the other street and hope he would leave, and then I could get in the house. So that worked. I walked over there, he left, I turned around and walked to my house. And I was literally across the street from my house. And San Jose PD,
so you're across the street from your own house, and this car is following you. I mean, you must have been scared, like, oh my God,
well, I was. I thought some weirdo
jump out and attack me, or I mean, of course you don't want to go to your house because they'll see where you live.
Right, and that's what I was trying to avoid. I was trying to act like I didn't live in that house, even though I dropped the beer bottle off. He took off. I was doing a beeline for my front gate, and literally, then San Jose PD rolled up on me. They went the wrong way on a one-way street, no lights, no sirens, no nothing.
Oh, wait, they went the wrong way on a one-way street just to get up to you?
Yep.
Oh, that was unnecessary.
And then they go, come over here, right? And so it's like, part of me wanted to run, but part of me, that's just the fear. And the other part goes,
as a trained lawyer, you're not going to be running from the police.
I know, but I can't say that I'm not human and don't have that fear.
Right. Sure. That's right.
And so, yeah, the lawyer part kicks in and goes, they're just going to jerk you around like they always do. Mm-hmm. And so I walked over there, and the guy goes, you got your ID, where do you live? And I said, I live right there across the street. And he just rolled his eyes. His partner cuffed me. And I said, then the lawyer part kicks in and says, what are you arresting me for? And his answer was,
Oh, you know?
He said, and they threw me in the back of the car, and then they took off, right? So here I am, I'm an old person. I'm a senior citizen. I'm, not that fancy looking, as you can see. And, back then it was like I was in worse shape, because I weighed probably 20, 25 pounds more than I do now. I've had several surgeries since then to try to make me more feminine, but, Kaiser doesn't do a good job. But here I am. So I'm just saying, back then, I looked way more male, or I just... That's not true. I guess I just was fatter. Let me put it that way. And I don't think I passed at all. I think it was pretty obvious that I was a trans woman. And so here I am, just getting thrown in the police car right in front of my own house. And it happened like in seconds. They cuffed me, they stuffed me, and they took off. And I remember looking around going, they just snagged me off of this street, and nobody knows what happened to Roxanne.
Right. I mean, this is scary. So, in our legal self-defense training, Roxanne, we're told to ask the police, why am I being detained? Why am I being arrested? Am I under investigation for something? Did you ask anything of these because it was both a guy and a lady cop, right?
No, it was two guys.
It was two guys. Oh, okay.
No, I asked him, why am I being arrested? Because it didn't go any detention other than come over here. And from the time they said come over here till they had me cuffed and stuffed was like, bam. And it's like, I've already been cuffed. And I go, why are you arresting me? And that's when he said, and they stuffed me and took off. And so then it got worse because I know where the jail is, right? So
where is the jail? Which jail did they take you to? Where is the jail?
Well, eventually they took me to the county jail.
Oh,
but that's the scary part And so I'm going to keep this brief, but they took me to some, I call it a blackout site, and held me there and degraded me and insulted me. And I was afraid.
Yeah.
And I own 2 houses in this neighborhood, and I have lived down there for a long time. And I didn't know that there was this police blackout site in my neighborhood.
Wow.
And I was terrified at that point. And I finally got out of there by, wanting to be taken to jail. Let's do this. Because they just sat there and threatened me. And so then they, because they took me in a direction that the jail is not.
Oh.
Right? And they took me to a site that I didn't even know about. And so that was terrifying. I don't really want to go into all the details because, like I said, the lawsuit's still going. But so I went from just exercising, trying to prepare for surgery. And like I said, I've been a lawyer for approximately 40 years, even though I'm 28. And, I've been a judge for the state of California, and I'm in front of my own damn house.
Right.
And San Jose PD snags me off the street and then threw me in jail. And that night was the most degrading night because Santa Clara Sheriff Department just stuck my nose in the dirt and drug it all night long, saying, we do not accept you as a woman. We do not acknowledge you as a woman. We're going to process you as a male, and we're going to treat you as a male as long as you're in our jail. And that was the most degrading night from both San Jose PD and from Santa Clara Sheriff's Department.
Right.
Because I had been told by Lori Smith, who's the sheriff right now, that she didn't treat my community that way. But I'd heard back from the community that that wasn't true. And I learned that night.
It wasn't true for you.
It's not true for any of my community.
This is the thing about discrimination. Either they're discriminating you because you're a trans woman, or they're discriminating you because they decide that you're a prostitute and they can just pick you up, because that's ultimately what they booked you for, was for that 65322, that loitering with intent to commit prostitution. And really all they did is profile you.
And I didn't know that until I got out the next day. I got out the next day and they give you this faded little form that you read. And I read it, and it had, Penal Code something or other. And, then I had to go look it up. What's that Penal Code? And then I learned that they had arrested me basically for being a prostitute. That was what they were accusing me of.
Or for looking like a prostitute, or what they think a prostitute looks like.
And I'm not even cute enough to do that. So it's are you kidding me?
You don't have
But that's the irony I really would like to stress with people is, so from one moment, just for being a trans woman, they degrade me and insult me and rip me off the street. And it's because they say I'm a woman. But as soon as they've got me in cuffs, they go out of their way to say, we don't accept you. You're not a woman. You're a dude. And, they dead name you. They degrade you in every way they can.
Well, there has to be the anti-discrimination laws have to be way more enforceable in a meaningful way for our community, right? And the anti-prostitution laws need to be repealed so they aren't used as an excuse.
Yeah, I'm just saying that this gives the cops so much liberty to abuse anybody, right? Because here I'm just an old person trying to exercise to get ready for surgery. And they disappear me, literally disappeared me off the street in a flash in front of my own house.
Right.
And it's when they were finally took me out of the dark side and were hauling me home, I go, look I just have a single lock on the outside of my house. My front door is wide open. The light's still on in my house. Can I at least lock up my house? And they said no.
Wow.
So
So to me, this is a clear example, Roxanne. Your story is so important because it's a clear example of how the enforcement of these fake prostitution laws, cause public unsafetiness and cause people more harm that they're targeted on and to the rest of the public.
Well, that was a real eye-opening experience. I mean, I've done criminal law in my practice, so I'm used to, cops coming to court and lying. And I'm used to the facts that happen at the event and what I read in a police report not lining up. Mm. And so I know that happens, and I'm not saying all cops are that way. Mm-hmm. But this experience has been good in one sense because I've been an advocate for my community, but this is like really, I guess, up the ante. Because the city of San Jose and the city of Santa Clara are unwilling to say we won't arrest you for walking while trans. They've doubled down and they've fought this lawsuit for 2 years. And they're saying that we have the right to degrade and insult and arrest trans women for walking while trans. And I think that's despicable.